sound coming to the ear. As we let ourselves settle in a position that we're comfortable with. All the busyness that has happened over the day to get us here. And then the honoring of each other, that we're here together. Even though what we get to look at is just our own hearts and minds, doing it in the company of others is supportive. It creates a container. Beginning in whatever way is the way you like to start the most in settling the body in the position of seated, or maybe lying down, or maybe standing up and doing walking meditation. We can notice ourselves settling into our spot. We may notice gravity attracting this mass of earth and air and fire and water that we have, of the elements and the aggregates of body and form and feelings and consciousness, that we take to be ourselves and that we take to be solid, but we really quickly discover as we sit that there's nothing really to hang on to. We can attend to the breath as it rises and falls. And be very specific of noticing it coming in at the nostrils, or the rising of the belly, pressure, the pressure of the diaphragm. And as we attend to a single place at first for our attention, it can help us to tame the mind into a single returning object of our attention. Breath at the nostrils, feeling warmth or coolness. Or breath at the belly, feeling pressure on the inhale, or the release of that pressure on the exhale. So we can just begin in this very moment, bringing our attention to that single object, taming the mind from going all over the place. And as we return and build up our mindfulness of a single object, it builds concentration, which then also can help keep out the hindrances. Maybe don't get quite so tired if we keep going back to this single object. Or the mind may be less restless when we don't follow off into restlessness. Or the grasping mind at something that's pleasant. Or pushing away something that we don't want to have to pay attention to. Some of those can just be kept at bay by this building of the foundation of the practice of attending to the single object of the breath or the touch point. Feeling clothing on our skin, or where our back is leaning against something, or where our hands are touching or our feet are touching. One breath at a time. Just noticing right here and right now where the attention is. continuing to return to the single object. That of the breath or the touch point. We also may notice within our bodies sitting here, we may be aware of the earth element, the density of our bones, the mass of our bodies sitting. There's the fire element. Digestion that happens, fire in the bowels, water, liquids in our bodies, blood, pus. And air, our lungs filling with air. And so sometimes we might use any of these in the same way that we use the breath, as an object of our meditation. Meditation on the elements can help us connect to our bodies in a way that also connects us to everything else in nature. And for that purpose of feeling connected, 4 is enough. 4 is a perfect amount of experiences to try to keep track of internally and externally, and both internally and externally, as it was talked about in the suttas, internal and external. Earth is that solidity, the mass of our bones and our cartilage and our teeth and our flesh. And it corresponds with all that's solid in the world, soil and trees and plants and rocks. Just the weight of our body sitting can be experienced as the earth element. And that stability of the land beneath us helps us feel grounded and rooted, like a tree. Our bones and our flesh, all that's solid and dense in the body, those are earth in us. as we sit with ourselves and gravity in our spot. Sometimes thoughts coming and going, sometimes returning to that single object of the breath, or maybe having a little more interest or investigation about the elements. We may notice sometimes when the water element is present. The liquid, the moisture, the fluidity in the body. Blood and saliva and various gurgling sounds that happen, representing all the manifestations of water, whether it's liquid or solid or gaseous. Water feels smooth and flowing. Sometimes associated with emotions and all of our feelings. And we know that our body is 60% water, and this element makes up most of our planet too, that water is life. We can notice the water element in the body when it shows itself. Sometimes we may notice the fire element in the body, our temperature, heat or coolness. Externally, we have the hotness, the fire of the sun. Fire's energy, and it burns and transmutes. It's connected to our ability to take action and affect change. Wherever we feel warm or cool, our face or our back or our armpits, our hands, anywhere we're on our skin or on the inside, it's the fire element. We might notice change within and around us throughout the sitting, throughout a day, Lately, I certainly notice it as the weather shifts and noticing my various responses to the changes. And there's also air, any wind that's in the body, breath, gas. And it surrounds us throughout our atmosphere. Air feels movable and changeable, light and ephemeral. It's connected to the mental realm of thoughts. And then, of course, in our bodies, the air element is exemplified by the breath, by bringing awareness to our breath. We can bring the air element in the body into connection with the air that surrounds and connects us all. So just feeling the elements can take time and practice, but just consider if there's any part of our experience that can't be classified into the elements. It's as if the elements are not individual, but they also aren't separate. And even though they're not separate, they're not the same. May we use the opportunity of noticing the elements to help us connect to everything else in nature and to become more aware that we are nature. This is a practice of nature. The elements as the felt sense connecting us. Internally and externally. Solid, fluctuating in temperature, fluid, ephemeral, our bodies, emotions, actions, and thoughts. It doesn't seem like much else exists if we just observe our experience. We can feel these 4 words to name just about every experience that we encounter within and outside of ourselves. And once again, touch directly into the impermanent nature of being with what arises, not to be grasped. And so we rest in this natural state of being, noticing. Are we tending to the breath or a touch point? Are we noticing elements internally and externally? Are we noticing that whatever our attention falls on, it doesn't stay there, it changes? All part of nature, arising and passing away. Not about a solid sense of self. Not me, not mine, not about me. And as we bring this sitting time to a close, may we take some time to hold ourselves kindly in appreciation for the practice, appreciation for our intentions, our effort, that we may be at ease no matter what arises. May we take care of ourselves happily. May we be at ease. And when that can't always be the case, may we have compassion for ourselves when things are challenging. Without judgment or criticism, can we just allow ourselves to have kindness flow, unconditional, and compassion, understanding, gentleness with ourselves. Not attached to storylines, not finding shame or blame in what's going on, letting equanimity, letting a kind of steadiness be present. Remembering our joy in the practice, holding ourselves in these beautiful emotions. Of metta and karuna, upekkha and mudita. In whatever way we can, we touch upon a place in our hearts. And may we let this feeling of kindness and compassion fill our hearts, fill our minds. Let it flow in other directions, including in our cauldron of our breath. Someone that it's easy to bring kindness and compassion to. A friend, a benefactor. Maybe a neutral person. Whatever being comes to mind. Letting this sense of well-being, relaxation, and kindness open-heartedness. Just as I have compassion for you and your difficulties, may you find compassion for yourself when difficulties arise. Just holding in our hearts the spaciousness of a friend, a benefactor, a neutral being. That as our hearts fill and flow toward others, it strengthens our heart space and we receive it back. In giving is receiving, in receiving is giving. Letting this kind-heartedness flow to other beings. Some may be difficult, maybe our neighbors, some family members, people around us. May we just include this kindness to all beings, those who may be happy and those who may not be so happy. In this place of unconditional kindness, well-wishing, not dependent on conditions. May this sense of well-being flow to others, to animals that we see and that we don't see, known and unknown. All those thousands of crawling critters, and those that walk and swim and fly. May all beings everywhere have happiness and the causes of happiness, be free from harm, be safe and protected, and have ease in their lives. And may we know, just as we are envisioning others within our hearts, we are being envisioned by others. Those in larger sanghas that we don't know about, who include us as their neutral person, as all beings. May all beings everywhere be free from harm, safe and protected, and have ease in their lives. And just these thoughts, this goodness of our practice, can be of benefit to all beings. Anicca vata sankhara upadavaya domino upakitava meruchanti te sam vipasamo sukho. All conditioned things are subject to impermanence. They arise and pass away. And seeing this clearly with mindfulness brings the greatest happiness, which is peace. thank you so much for your practice. I know you hear me say it, and it's always genuine. It brings me so much joy. Heaven knows we need joy, and in case we forget, we can just remember each other.